Good morning, good afternoon, good night, gspree gang. Welcome to a filler episode, I guess. Really quick before we get into today's episode, I've been streaming Legends of Runeterra on my Twitch and Overstock channel this last week, and it was a lot of fun revisiting it. I originally wanted to do a video on it this Monday, today, but as I was writing out the script, it just seemed more intensive than what I could pull together. So that video will be coming out next Monday. In the meantime, you get this, which is interesting because the original video was really intensive, and then we got this one now, which is a completely different video style than I've ever tried before. So we're gonna see how it works. So I apologize to like the 3 people that I promised a Legends of Runeterra video on for my streams, but I promise the wait is worth it. I'm actually like using my brain on this one. So in the meantime, I'd like to sweep you all away and back into the vortex of Windblown. I've also streamed this a couple times in the last week or two, and I always forget how much I love this game. Also, there have been a lot of quality of life updates and new stuff. So rather than visiting what's new, we're gonna revisit as if it's our first time ever playing. Except it's not really new. I've had things with roguelike videos that I've done in the past where I emphasize the game is not designed to be beaten on the first time around. It's a roguelike or a roguelite. It is meant to be played multiple times. Especially if the game has story, you unlock the story as you go. However, I am trying to prove some people wrong, mostly myself though, in saying that yes, the game can be beaten on the first try on a brand new save. And in a game like Windblown, the story isn't officially completed yet, so story aside, actual gameplay, let's beat it, shall we? See, Windblown is more like a roguelite than a roguelike. It's more of a T than a K. The legacy upgrades you get in Windblown are just more equipment, more passive buffs, and you can unlock these for future runs, but there's also cogs that you pick up, and these are used to get permanent upgrades, like up to 4 health flasks. So jumping in a brand new save, I will be without this. I will be without crystallizations. I will be without altar attacks. I also won't be able to get a free gift at the beginning of the run, 2 free weapons, and 2 free trinkets at the beginning of the run. So I will be going in just with my bare hands wrapped around a fillet knife, and I've just got a hack and slash, baby. I also won't be getting extra gift slots, rerolls, boosted boosts, and additional loot through enemies and extra challenges, as well as more items to be picked from in shops. So if you're new to Windblown and randomly watching this video, don't worry, I will explain everything as we reach it. So let me beckon you forth on this journey, and let's get right into it. Now, I do have about 40 hours in this game, so I kind of know my way around. It's not a completely brand new run, you know, so I have some legacy knowledge up in here, but we're just going to ignore that fact and, you know, act as if it's my first time playing the game. I have a brand new save that I just booted up. No items, no special gifts, no nothing. So let me catch you up to speed on where we are, as we've already started our run. Now, as I mentioned already, we do get to use the starting weapon, the fillet knife, which has an awesome 3-hit combo attack. One of my favorite ways of triggering altar attacks. If I could do such a thing, I would be doing it right now. See, the main reason I like to use altar attacks is for the iframes, actually, because while you are using this special attack, you can not be hit. Now, some altar attacks last a little bit longer than others, and some altar attacks act different than others, but I kind of know what I can get away with in terms of iframes at this point, but I guess we won't have to worry about that for now. I also generally do less damage, but I do know my way around my crits and around my weapons, and also the enemies, so I know when I can pull off a full combo, or if I'm going to have to dodge and reposition myself, maybe get around them and start again. I've also picked up my first gift here, Protection, which allows me a free hit against me on the first instance of damage, and then once this is used, I have to kill 20 more enemies to charge it back up again. I figure I go for gifts that are more based around single targets, mainly bosses. I don't really have an issue with anything outside of bosses at this point. There are some things that we kind of get close with, but it seems the best for long term if I go for something like Protection rather than something like Nemesis, where I get more health on kills. So ideally, I'd like to have a build that's based more around single target and precise attacks rather than AoE attacks that target a mass amount of enemies. Speaking of, I've also picked up my first trinket, which does great in both of these areas, funny enough, but it's a bomb. There are 2 types of bombs in this game. One is a long-ranged lob. It does damage to a single target, but the one that I picked up is an AoE around me, and it just explodes, you know, it just a basic bomb. I also pick up a decent amount of boosts throughout this run, so I'm kind of going to allude to those maybe a little bit later, but primarily I'm picking up boosts more so based off of health, because I know I'm going to be taking damage, and I can kind of live with everything else, so I don't really feel the need to get attack speed, crit damage, regular damage, or trinket cooldowns. We've also picked up our first weapon, the Katars. Not exactly an ideal weapon, but we'll take it. Katars are one of the few weapons that has a charge attack, so we'll use this in the iframes that it grants us in place of the alter attacks for now. It also allows us to cover some ground, close the gap, and do an extra burst amount of damage. Now, editor, not sure where we are right now, but let's fast forward to the arena where we get another gift, shall we? Bam! Right in your face with some extra damage against isolated enemies. This is exactly what I was looking for. Absolutely perfect for all of our boss encounters. Slightly before this fight, I also get a weapon to replace my fillet knife, so now I have a Raven Blade and Katars, which are two weapons that have a charge attack. I love the Raven Blade, and I even love it more when I can use its alter attack, but this will make do. And as you may be able to tell, the charged jump attack of the Raven Blade is almost perfect to take down the Tri-Bomber, the boss of Act 1. There's not actually official acts of Windblown, at least they don't call them that, but there are 4 of these acts, sections, chapters, whatever you want to call them, and I pick up an Overwhelm gift upon defeating this thing, but we won't really worry too much about Overwhelm. I'm kind of just going to have it here as a placeholder, and we'll replace it with something eventually. I also picked up a laser trinket to accompany my bomb, which is going to be absolutely fantastic for singling out enemies and doing mass amounts of damage. Nothing special, but it does have an affix to drop a corrosive pool, which just does damage over time to anything standing inside of it. Now we'll jump right back into this vortex and move on over to the second act, where we get to work with this piece of... God, I hate this thing. This thing just makes me want to gouge out my eyeballs with a spoon, you know? I don't know why, but this enemy, whatever this razor blade thing is the bane of my existence. Anyway, huge W though. I'm so glad we have alter attacks now. This is going to be revolutionary. I can really start to plan attacks and targets now, as well as have a better way to dodge Headbanger's attacks. A little jump ahead here to keep things moving. I get an Elbro, which is just going to be a little pet that hovers around me and does some extra bonus damage. I love it. He's super consistent. He just shoots his little laser whenever he can, and I can activate him to increase his fire rate and damage. I've also gotten super lucky in finding another fillet knife, so now I can really make the use out of the Raven Blade's alter attack. Now, why am I picking up all these extra memories, you might be asking? Well, they're kind of just there. They're kind of around. It's just a force of habit. I'm gonna delete this save file when I'm done with this, so... I don't know, it's just for self-satisfaction, I guess. There's also a couple of additional reward doors that I choose to just disregard completely because I don't need extra cogs, don't really need extra shells. If there's a boost, I might be tempted, but overall, I'm just looking for extra gifts to see if I can, you know, replace what I have. I also found some food, a literal lifesaver, to go with my lack of health regen. But let's jump ahead again, and I am picking up a new weapon. A ranged weapon, the Sirocco. I was originally going to leave this, but I figured fire damage over time is actually a pretty good trade-off for a little bit less damage. Also, I don't have to be up in Headbanger's face. I can keep my distance, and I can, you know, really feel more free to move around the map. So let's test this thing out, shall we? Let's head over to my favorite enemy. Oh, goody. Despite being a ranged weapon, I do get pretty solid iframes from the alter attack, but mainly the alter attack is around where it wasn't the first time that we encountered this guy, so I'm a lot better off. I'll take in my reward of having an extra boost drop during elite rooms, and I'll be on my way. This will just help me get some extra stats, but mainly HP. Which now brings us to the Headbanger. We've actually made it. The man, the pistol legend himself. I have fought many a Headbanger in my time, so I am incredibly well equipped for this fight. The main issue I have with this fight though are the pylons, because they send out a shockwave, and me in my decrepit, aging body, I just can't keep up with these, man. My reaction time is never what it used to be because I never had reaction time. So I'm really just trying to do my best and move around and jump and dodge and alter attack where I can and keep myself at a distance from Headbanger and do a little bit of burn damage while I can. And with that, Headbanger's done. Our first real boss is dead. We also just let the head do its thing. I don't have enough damage to actually kill it on the first run, so there's a different boss that comes on this next stage, but we'll be fighting the head instead. We also get another low-key run saver in the form of a free revive. Hopefully I won't have to use this until the final boss, but in case I die in the next stage or in the incubator, I'll just be able to get a free revive. So you can't go wrong with a run like this. Now on to Zone 3. The pirates and the rats of the world hang out in this section. For some reason, it's still a vortex, so I don't know. They seem to be holding some sort of party all the time, I guess, so it seems like a fun place to be. There's also cheese rivers and rats that suck up said cheese just out of the ground. So everything here seems to be built out of cheese, regardless of if it looks like there's real grass growing here, because these things will suck up cheese out of the ground no matter where it is. If you get stuck in that, you get frozen. Well, not frozen. You get stuck in the goo cheese I don't know why I said it like that, but it does constant damage to you and stuns you, and you have to mash buttons to get out of it. So just keep your distance from these weird little things. Overall in this space, I get some boosts, I scrape by with some fights and replace my Sirocco with the Raven Blade again, and get over to the next boss. I also upgrade my Elbro to a level 4 so he does a little bit more passive damage, and having the alter attacks again is just such a lifesaver, especially when having the Raven Blade on my side. It is perfect. But truly nothing to write home about here. I'm just trying to, you know, stay safe, keep my wits about me, keep my distance from my enemies. And when I say scrape by, maybe that's a little bit too excessive of a word, but really I just mean I'm trying to dodge where I can and where needed so I can, you know, keep damage to a minimum. Now I slightly mentioned this, but I am also padding my pockets a little bit with these shells. Shells are the in-run currency which we use in shops and at special little gates to purchase something. Just like that first laser I got after Act 1, and then this much needed golden apple. And we're off. We're seeing the head again. He's got no body with him, but he is still just as much of a menace, if not more. This thing is smaller arena, so you are stuck in there with it. This thing becomes a real annoyance in here, bouncing around like a really bouncy baseball that's on, you know, the most unkept, crater-filled, also soggy diamond for some reason that you have ever played baseball on. That might be just me. It also throws out bouncing, damaging balls and spin lasers that you can kind of keep up with for the most part. Apparently, it also has a shockwave, so I'm surprised I, you know, got out of this one. But I am on the end of my rope here, but some incredibly well-timed Raven Blade alter attacks and charge shots were literally allowing me to escape with my life. I was one hit away from death here, but I am just as surprised as you are that, well, maybe you're not as surprised, but I'm incredibly surprised. I had to take a deep breath, almost fall backwards, and just take a moment, breathe in this insane vortex that we're in right now, and just realize I've made it here before. I know what I'm doing. I can do this. I really surprised myself with this one though, and I really deserved this break after this boss. I also decided to take a stupid gamble on this mark before entering the final act. Now welcome to the incubator. At this point I'm really hoping that the commentary is able to match up with what's happening in time. I'm crossing my fingers, but I'm sure editing will go okay. The incubator is full of beefy enemies with robust attack patterns, multiple attacks, and surprising enemies that are lurking in other incubators, so it's fitting. A plus of this place though is it's mostly just fighting one enemy at a time, so you can really focus on just the one enemy, you know, go in, attack, dodge, spit out your alter attacks, unless you decide to just pop open another incubator because you feel lonely. I also realized that Mark was being procced by my Elbro, which is absolutely not fantastic because Elbro does not do enough damage to really make Mark worth it. So it was either Elbro has to go or Mark has to go. So I got my laser back, and we're going on, and we're making do. And I have probably the second worst fight of my life against this Axolotl and the steam engine Pokemon lookalike, whatever this thing is, that just kind of bashes the ground and rips up steaming concrete or something. I don't know. Let's just keep going after this. I have no excuses for this one. I'm literally going to start skipping encounters here so I could just get over to the boss. I grab an apple for my troubles, and I'm met with yet another familiar face. Or weapon, I guess. I get a Sirocco, and so I'm gonna opt for that again against this final boss. I figure I need to keep my distance against them and, you know, be able to do a little bit of tick burn damage while I'm running away. I also end up finding one that has better affixes and is focused more on alter attacks, which is absolutely perfect, and it's exactly what I'm going for. So I'm low-key kitted out for this boss fight, on top of the fact that I found a leveled up version of the fillet knife, which was pure luck because it was the final enemy before the shop and before the final boss. So since I also died in that fight, I used up that relic for granting a one-time revive. So I've got an open gift slot, so we just purchased something that pops out a scythe and allows us to do a little bit extra damage whenever we can, but in order to actually trigger it, I have to deal 250 base damage. So, you know, we might see it, we might not. Now we're on to the final boss. We made it. I honestly didn't think I'd get this far, but I know exactly what I'm going for first. I'm going for the green guy. This thing is super energetic, it dashes around, it has a brutal gap closure, and really can stick you down with the electricity paths that it takes. They might have names, but I really want to fight the blue guy last because I know what he does. He takes his time, he slows down, and you are able to really make distance between him and yourself. And And there it is. Unfortunately, my luck has just ran short and my personal space was absolutely depleted. But for a first try, this went really great. And I genuinely think I could do this again. However, this is all I have time for today. I hope this video wasn't too long for you. So I genuinely had a great time creating this story and walking through this journey with you and trying something new. So let me know how I did and let me know if you'd be interested in seeing more of these. I am really interested in trying to do another one of these, but if this video does half decent, I will be more inclined to do one sooner. But alright, gspree gang, I will catch y'all's next week with Legends of Runeterra. Have a wonderful rest of your day. We will see you next time.